All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alaracanfieldshow, the Awaken Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And today we have a brand new guest speaker on the show. It's first time here. Definitely will not be the last. Emily Ghosh Harris is with us, and she's going to be talking to us about Creative Alchemy, a new era in human consciousness. And so part of what we're going to discuss with Emily is about intentionally creating your life as a masterpiece, discovering and deepening your soul purpose, how to do that, identifying and removing blocks that get in the way of your unique soul expression, creating the elements and stepping into your highest vision, activating your fifth dimensional conscious business, honoring your own energy and strengthening boundaries, being visible and honoring your unique, authentic expression, and finding the courage to go after your big dreams. All that and more. We're going to be taking some live caller questions. We're going to be doing a wonderful process as well. And for those of you who don't know Emily, like I said, she is here for the first time with us, but she is around. She is very busy. She is an intuitive guide, a podcast host, and multidimensional business mentor, here to help humanity reconnect to their divine gifts, remember what it feels like to love themselves unconditionally, and return to unity consciousness. She is the founder of Soul Media, a company focused on supporting and elevating conscious companies and spiritual entrepreneurs through digital marketing and intuitive business practices, as well as integrating astrology, numerology, neuroscience, psychology, and energy work to support clients and bring forward their fullest, most authentic and creative expression. So we are going to have a wonderful conversation today, wonderful dialogue, as well as, like I said, she's going to be taking questions. So you can, in order to ask a question, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat, and then we'll also do a process at some point. Okay. So Emily, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Alara. I love your show and your community. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. And, we met recently and we had such a wonderful conversation a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. And it's like, oh my God, it was like so amazing. And I'm like, why didn't we record it? It was so good, right?
I know.
But I knew right from then, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to have a wonderful conversation, a wonderful show. So I'm so glad that you're here to share your wisdom, your talents, your energy with all of us. So because it's the first time that you're here with us, can you just share a little bit about your journey to how you became this spiritual mentor, working with entrepreneurs, working with businesses, and doing all the wonderful work that you're doing?
Yeah, so, I think like most of us, I grew up highly empathic, telepathic, very sensitive. But, I grew up in somewhat of a turbulent environment, and I quickly shut down those gifts and, really had the belief that love was somehow outside of me, that I had to earn it somehow. And so, I quickly fell into sort of a pattern of looking outside to check all of the boxes. So for me, this looked like, getting my MBA and climbing the corporate ladder and, looking for the next promotion. I thought if I, did all the things and looked a certain way, it was, somehow going to receive that love and that validation that I was looking for. And so I found myself in corporate America, and I was, one of the youngest directors in my company, and I was really like looking for that promotion, and I finally got it. And there was this like brief moment of celebration, and then just this sinking of dread, this feeling of, oh my goodness, I am going to have to work even harder. And at that time, I was kind of ignoring those, signs that things were out of balance, things like my relationships, my health. And in this moment, it was sort of just this cataclysmic, everything just felt out of alignment. And I believe that when we're, out of alignment from what our soul truly desires to experience, learn, grow in this lifetime, that we'll experience a huge disconnect. And that's exactly what I felt. It was, just this tumultuous feeling of I need to somehow get back on track. And so this really forced me to go within. It was a deep remembrance. It was a rediscovering, a remembrance. And, like so many of us, it's like, learning all of these things again about the chakras and our energy and, how to astrology and NLP and all of these tools that really helped me to shift my own energy and to make some significant changes in my life. Because at that time I didn't realize it, but when I really went within, it was like, wow, really recognizing, gosh, there's a lot of limiting beliefs that are here that I'm not fully aware of. And all of a sudden it was with this, divine clarity of, oh, I'm gonna, need to start beginning to rewrite these beliefs, elevate and maintain my vibration. And so that's, the process that I went on. I started Soul Media, which is a company that supports conscious entrepreneurs and brands to, tell their story, to market and to brand themselves. And, it's a beautiful creation. But, to be perfectly honest with you, when I first started, the company, I still carried with me that energy of corporate. It was really that working around that clock, waking up at 5 a.m, going to sleep at 11, and really being on the computer most of that time. And, that go energy of productivity, needing to sort of, to prove myself. And so I really discovered that I needed to balance that energy and come into more of a receptive energy, and really understanding the cycles of how we create and how to receive at the same time. That's not all of external energy, that we need to be able to balance the masculine and the feminine. And so that was a really big part of my journey and what I'm helping others to do in this now moment.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And, I think most of us can relate to your story. I also came from corporate and I did the same thing. I was still, working a long hours, doing a lot, doing, right? So we know, because that's how we were trained, right? As well. But yes, we all need that balance, and we also need to come from within. What does our soul want to experience? And what did our soul choose? Like, why did our soul choose to be here and to experience what, and how does it want to express itself, right? And that does not come from thinking about it, right? That comes from really going within to your heart space, connecting within, connecting with the energies, and then working with that, right?
I absolutely love that you brought that up, because often I feel like the most profound you know activities, the most profound breakthroughs that we have in our lives come when we really listen and honor our intuition. It's not a logical decision. Around that time when I was making that transition from corporate, I received, the download about Soul Media, but also to start a podcast at that time, which is really funny because at that time, I wasn't really immersed in this world, and it seemed like it wasn't a logical next step, but it was what my heart truly desired to do. And also similarly, it was a fear of visibility, a fear of speaking, but oftentimes it's like those little nuggets, those little whispers of our soul are so important for us to honor them, to listen to them, to act on them, to water those seeds.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, that listening to those little nuggets, listening to those little nudges and those little hints, because, like I was always very shy, right? And I was always the wallflower, and I used to stutter when I was younger. And so I didn't like to speak in front of people, right? So when I started doing this show, it's like, what am I doing? It's like, how could I be doing this when I don't even like to talk in front of people? It's like, what? But my soul wanted me to, right? So I was getting that push and that nudge and that feeling of, yes, do this, right? So when you honor those nudges, those hints, those nuggets, and you take action on them, then you are in alignment, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I have chills as you're talking. And I think it's so important for people to hear this. I love sharing that as much as possible, that, speaking definitely isn't something that came, easily for me, because I feel like sometimes we think about, divine purpose and it should be like effortless. It should come, naturally. And I really just don't think that that's the case. It's just that our souls really want to grow and to evolve. And we really, when you think about purpose, it's our souls came in here to be the highest, fullest expression of ourselves, whatever that looks like in the now moment. That could be, the best mother, the best father, the best at, healing ancestral trauma, the best at, really learning how to love ourselves, whatever that is. It's really about honoring that whisper from within, even if it doesn't come easily at first, even if it's something that, takes a lot of courage to move through.
And speaking of courage, that's one of the biggest pieces. Like there are many of our own limiting beliefs that we have, right, that stop us. But then there's also the projections from other people, and that can sometimes stop us. So it takes a lot of courage to like look at and say, okay, yes, this is what they're projecting at me. These are what my own fears are. But you know what? I'm going to trust. And I'm just going to take it one step at a time. And I'm going to take a deep breath and just keep going forward. For me, that's what courage was. When I first started, it was like, there's lots of things going against me, but I'm feeling this. I'm really strongly feeling it. So I'm just going to give it a go, and I'm going to do the best that I can. Right.
Yes.
And I always said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. That was the other thing. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful, whatever success means to you. But I'm not, for me, failure was not an option. It's like, I'm going to be successful no matter what. So I'm going to do whatever it takes, work as many hours, push until I get to that point where I feel comfortable. Right. And part of that is going through your own fears and saying, no, not right now. Let's talk about this later. Let's just do this.
Yes, I love that so much. And I feel like courage is something that is something that resides within us. And it's something that, we can cultivate just like a muscle. And, I think in creating of any form, right? Like we're meant to create life as a masterpiece. Like our lives are these beautiful works of art, and we're given sort of this blank canvas from which to create. And what I truly believe is that we can, create an every now moment. And even if we don't, necessarily like, what we started creating, we're able to recreate and create anew and just infinitely draw upon this wellspring of creativity. And so, what I think is so important is that we start with ourselves, and we start with our own lives, our own vibration that is reflected into the world. And so I think it's so important that you brought up limiting beliefs, because oftentimes these are the things that get in the way of us creating without limitations. And so, what I always recommend is to really get first in touch with what those limiting beliefs are. Right. And because sometimes if we identify them, they become so much more clear. Right. And so, in my practice, I see some that are, repeat over and over again, things like fear of being a healer, being an intuitive, like perhaps that wasn't safe to do in a past life or, earlier in this lifetime. Right. A fear of being seen, of being visible in the world. Right. There can be a self-sabotaging element. There can be being maybe stuck in the past, a past version of ourselves. Right. So all of these limiting beliefs, if we identify what they are, it can be so helpful. Like, where is this limiting belief actually coming from that's impeding my ability to create the life that I truly desire? Maybe it's something that's coming from a past life. Maybe it's something that's coming from a voice that you absorbed as a child, right? And getting in touch with it, And then what we can do is that we can set the intention to release that belief and to create a new one. And, often this is where forgiveness comes in, where, healing the inner child. Like sometimes we need to really reparent that which we received, and really create this infusion of self-love, of, telling us that it is safe to be seen. It is safe to be here. And that's where we can really start to build new circuitry in order to move forward.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes, I know a lot of people on these calls, they say, I don't know what my limiting beliefs are. And I always say, well, look at your life, see what's not working, that's where you'll find out what the limiting beliefs are. And as soon as you identify them, it kind of like drains their power a little bit, right? Because then they're not the big unknown scary monster anymore. It's like, oh, it's that. Okay, well, let me work on clearing that. Let me work on releasing that. Let me work on accepting myself, even though I have that limiting belief right now, right? And going from there, right? But so a lot of times people get stuck with not knowing what their limiting belief is even. And I always say, look at your life, what's happening, right?
Yes, yes. I think that's so important because sometimes we can have resistance, but it's sort of like this vague area of like I'm experiencing resistance, it's not flowing, and and we're kind of scared to like really truly look at it. And I feel like we can make friends like with whatever it is because we can understand it from a new level of awareness. So for me, like there was definitely a fear around visibility and people pleasing, and it's like, okay, I'm going to really truly look at that because I'm ready to release it. I'm ready to set a new intention around this. And I think that can be so powerful when we really identify it and say, okay, I know exactly what this is and where it's coming from, and I'm ready for this. I'm ready to create a new story. And that's the beautiful thing about creating is that we can continually create a new story for ourselves. Mary Morrissey says something really powerful that can be so helpful in shifting the energy. She says, using the phrase up until now, right? Mm-hmm. So I've not been a confident person up until now. I've not been comfortable being seen up until now. We can immediately shift that energy and invite ourselves into a new vibration.
Oh, that's beautiful. So I'm gonna ask all of you who are here in the Zoom, just type in really quickly just some of the limiting beliefs that are coming up in your mind right now. What limiting beliefs do you have right now? And then after you write it in, I want you to say up until now. Okay, so start the process going of clearing and releasing these limiting beliefs up until now. I love that. Thank you for that, Emily. That's awesome. Yeah. And that's a great way to start, right? Getting to know what it is, being comfortable with it and saying, yep, up until now. And now it's a new moment in time, right? So now everything is changing. Yeah, yes. Good.
Another really powerful tool here with really rewriting the story can be the power of visualization, because anything that we're creating, it is the energy of being able to see it, connect with it in our vision before it's in physical form. Because anything that we're desiring, anything that is on our hearts to create, it's in our field. It's there for us. But it's so important for us to be able to see ourselves in that new light, in that new way of being. So maybe it's, sharing more of your gifts, sharing more of your light, starting a podcast, writing a book. Can you visualize? Can you take the time, every morning? There's a power in repetition and doing something on a daily basis. So can you set time aside and can you make yourself a priority to really show yourself what's possible and to dream without limitations? Because oftentimes we can limit ourselves. And so we can invite ourselves to say, okay, can I dream even bigger? And what does that look like for me? What is the most expansive, magnificent, exciting, beautiful vision for myself, for my life? And, I'm going to take some time to drop in, whether it's a meditation or whether it's breath work. And can I really connect with that vision? Can I love who this person is becoming on their journey? And can I really see it and hold it in my heart? And can I do it on a regular basis? That's what's crystallizing it into physical form.
Absolutely. And when you're doing it from a meditative space or just, a higher vibration, you're actually creating in that space. So that visualization, that imagination, you're already starting the ball rolling, starting the creative process, in that space. So don't just think about it, raise your vibration a little bit and then imagine, then visualize. So people are typing in the chat some of their limiting beliefs, and up until now, so that's what you have to say to yourself. It's like, yes, you have these limiting beliefs. Awesome. Up until now. So now you know what they are, but up until now. So in this now moment, you no longer have them, or you are releasing them, and you're accepting yourself and loving yourself in spite of having these limiting beliefs. Right, Emily?
Yes. Yeah, 1000%. And what I'm noticing as I'm, looking through the chat, is that one of the themes that is coming up is around worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really common theme, right? But it's also something that we have the power to shift. And the way that it shifts is from within. And it really is just this infusion of self-love and really allowing ourselves to see ourselves in a new light, because we all are such unique expressions of source light, and we came here to create and to shine our light, and and that is us co-creating a new earth, a new way of being. It's all of us emanating that unique vibration, that unique essence that only we can shine. And so of course there are outdated structures and systems that are, that maybe have told us in the past that, it's not safe to shine, or you need to do it this way, or you need to, get some type of certification, or, all the things that are more externally focused, right? But that's a part of why we're all here, is to really dissolve and create new structures and new systems that are more in harmony with who we are and why we're here. And it is when we talk about purpose, I really believe that it is through the process of self-love, through the process of starting with our own energy, of loving ourselves, and then, radiating that out into the world, that we're really able to make such a profound shift. So, even if this might look like mirror work, it might look like really changing the neurocircuitry. The neurocircuitry in our brains are designed to more respond to a thought that is maybe negative, right? Or maybe fearful. But we can, over time, decide what we're tuning to. And so this is a really powerful practice, to be in awareness of any time there is a thought of unworthiness, to, nope, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to replace that thought. And I am worthy. I am a profound being of love and light, here to shine my light, and really reinforcing that, as much as possible, because we cannot, hear that enough. And it really is such a powerful practice that when we do that regularly over time, it's amazing the transformation that's possible.
Oh, I totally agree. I call that creating a pattern interrupt, right? Because all of the negative beliefs, etc., are patterns. They're just patterns that we have been running over time for a long time. So as they come up and as you become aware of them, you can stop them in their tracks, and like you said, replace it with something new. But then you have to keep doing that. So each time it comes up, replace it with something new, so that the new circuits start to get created, right? And the older ones start to not be as ridged, as have such deep grooves anymore, right? And so then the new circuits can have the deeper grooves as you keep focusing on those patterns, those beliefs, those affirmations, whatever happens to be for you. But it works as long as you do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we can reinforce that too. Joe Dispenza talks about, a clear intention combined with an elevated emotion equals profound healing miracles. And so, it's that intention to want to make a change, right? And then it is combining that with an elevated emotion, elevation of emotion, like gratitude, like love, like compassion. So this is really like celebrating ourselves and being our own cheerleader, right? So anytime, we do something, even if it's small, we can acknowledge ourselves. We can show gratitude for ourselves. We can show gratitude for our physical being, for the compassion that we show to others, right? There's all these things that sometimes we we easily overlook, but when we attune to them, they become more and more clear. And it really is like we're choosing what seeds to water in our garden. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, one of the key points that you mentioned there, Emily, was the positive emotion, right? So you cannot, I mean, if you're going to create out of fear, you're just going to create what you've always created, right? So you have to have a different emotion, a positive emotion, an uplifting emotion, an empowering emotion. I always say, you know, if you're going to create from fear, just don't, just stay where you are, because it's just going to create more of that negativity and more of the same patterns that you've been creating in the past. So always remember, like, what emotion am I focusing on in this moment? What is my, what is my energy like? Is it uplifted? Is it empowered? Is it positive? Is it grateful? If not, raise your vibration, change your emotion first, and then create. Right? Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So, so let's talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about, I think we talked about soul purpose a little bit, but discovering and deepening your soul purpose, because that is still something that a lot of people are searching for, is their soul purpose. And I always say your soul purpose is going to be what lights you up, right? What lights you up, what gets your juices flowing, right? It's not going to be necessarily something that, I mean, what I'm doing now, I never dreamed of 20 years ago, right? 15 years ago. I never, was not even on my radar. Living here in Austria was never on my radar. So none of that. So it's not something that was, I'd thought about it. It just happened. And I know as the nuggets came in, as the insights came in, it's like, okay, does it feel good? Yes. Okay, well, let me go for it. Is it logical? No. But you know what? My heart's saying yes. So I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And for me, it was always, well, let's just see what happens. And when I do that, going from my heart space, it's always more magical and more beautiful than I can imagine. But our mind wants to create something concrete, right? A process, a pattern, a framework. But, when you're truly working with the divine feminine, with the intuitive, it's not like that. It's about going with the flow, right?
Yes, it's totally is about going with the flow, trusting your intuition. It is like sometimes we want to like have it all figured out in this nice, package, but really that is like life is an adventure, and we're meant to, to feel into it and to follow our highest excitement, and that's how it unfolds even more beautifully than we can possibly imagine. So I feel like it is starting with what lights you up and following that curiosity, and following, your intuition about, okay, this is something, I don't know why I'm being guided to paint in this moment. I don't know why I'm being guided to, journal in this moment, but I'm just going to listen. I'm going to trust. I'm going to follow that, right? Guidance, because more magic will come through as we do that. And as we're nurturing what it is that our heart is desiring, versus like, oh, what do we think that we have to do in this moment? Because, the life responds to our joy. It responds to us being in our highest excitement and our joy. That is a vibration that magnetizes more miracles, more excitement, more abundance to unfold. And so the other thing about purpose is that sometimes that we can look at, things that we naturally gravitated towards as a child. It's like before, there was, you should do this, or right? It's like, what is it that lit you up? And that can be another thing that is really powerful to tap into, because we often don't allow ourselves just to play for the sake of playing. It's like, oh, we had playtime and nap time, and like, why do we not still have those things, right? But there is so much richness in allowing ourselves just to play for the sake of playing, because what comes through is really, really powerful. And so the other thing about, because I know and I feel that there's so many intuitives, healers, light workers on this call, and so often we're meant to assist an earlier version of ourselves, meaning something that we've, worked through, something that we've, gone through. We've discovered tools, we've discovered maybe a formula or process, and we have those to be able to share with somebody that is, similar to us and similar to, us navigating that experience. So that can be something powerful to look at, is like, what is our life showing us, and Eckhart Tolle says, how do I know that this is an experience that I'm meant to have? And it's because this is an experience that I'm, having in this moment. And I love that quote. And I think it's so powerful, because sometimes we say like, oh man, I'm going through this difficult time and this is really like tumultuous. And I know, people are navigating a lot of, stuff right now. And one way we can look at it is that we are learning so much, we are growing, and all of the tools that we're integrating, that we're discovering, that we're, helping to assist in our own lives, we have those to be able to share with a collective of humanity. So I think that's really, really important as well. From an astrological perspective, there's lots of indicators that we can look at in the birth chart. We can look at the North Node. That is such a powerful indicator in astrology of really around soul purpose. Like, what is it that our soul came to discover, to grow, to focus on in this lifetime? And where is that, where is the North Node appearing in our birth chart? What house is it in? What sign is it in? That gives it a unique flavor, right? That we can look at. We can also look at the midheaven of our chart, which is the top uppermost part of the chart, but it also, intercepts where our house of career is, where we're kind of visible in the world. So that can give us some indicators as well. And also numerology can be a powerful tool as well to look at, right? Because we all have a life path number that has some gems in there to look at, but we also go through cycles, just like nature, just like the seasons. And so in numerology, there's what is a 9-year cycle, and so every one of those years has a distinct flavor, has a distinct quality that we're deepening into, exploring, whether it's about communication or whether it's about forming connection and partnership, or focusing on family, or being more external in the world. It is we can attune to that and get some insights to that as well.
Beautiful. And I just saw a post today on Instagram about soul purpose and North Node and midheaven. It's like, I have to ask my daughter, what is my North Node again, and what is my midheaven?
I think yours is Taurus. I think you're right.
Yeah. Because I think we talked about it. Yeah. It's just funny because I never remember. It's like I have a block around astrology up until now. Up until now, I've had a block around astrology and remembering stuff like that. Up until now. All right, I want to talk a little bit about creating with the elements. That's interesting. That's exciting. And I don't think we have talked a lot about that on the show. So how can we create with the elements to step into our highest vision for our lives? And do you also work with the higher self as well? Because I work a lot with the higher self as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime I'm connecting in session, it's with the higher self. And, we all have innately a connection with the elements, because we are a part of nature. And so, this is just such an innate connection that we can tap into. We're made of the elements, and, we can see that reflected in each of our birth charts, right? And so that's, something powerful to draw upon. And so I love this process for creating anything that we desire to create in our lives. So this could be, in relation to business, or it could be anything that you're desiring to bring forward, right? And it is, say, for example, you want to create a different kind of relationship with yourself or someone else. Say you want to create, something where you're sharing your gifts in a new way, or creating some type of community, right? This is a process that you can use to really, understand better yourself and what your vision is. So we start with earth, and we start in the south, and this is also inspired by the shamanic medicine wheel.
Yeah.
So we start in the south with the element of earth, and the animal totem here is the snake, right? So the snake is all about rebirth, shedding, transformation. And so we can ask ourselves, what is it that we are ready to let go of? What is it that we're ready to release? What are the old stories that maybe we're holding on to that really just feel like an old blanket that we're ready to get rid of, right? And so, this could be people pleasing. It could be judgment, right? It could be judging ourselves. It could be self-criticism, right? What are those stories that you are ready to let go of? And how can you make more space for what you're calling into? And when we're talking about space, right? Like when we shed something old, we make space for something new. And so that's really beautiful, because you can think about that as your energetic space, but also your physical space. So what does your, energetic space look like that you're creating? And also, what is your physical space look like when you're, creating and cultivating? It's really important to kind of, create your physical environment. And I love that we're in Cancer season right now, because that's all about home. It's all about nurturing. It's all about creating this strong inner energetic foundation. And when we have that, from an energetic perspective, but then also from a physical perspective in our surroundings, then we are able to better move externally in the world. So this is all about, what is the space that you're creating? And sometimes it can be like physical, getting rid of things, cleaning out the closet, making room for something new. In love, they talk about when you're calling in love, you leave a space in your closet for, your partner or drawer. Same thing with anything else that we're calling into creation, is how can we make space to actually receive it? How can we, show the universe that we're really ready? So this is all about the earth element and the snake. And then we move to the west, and this is all about our intuition. It's the element of water, right? Water is the most intuitive element. It's about, connecting with our own feelings, our own emotions. And it's, symbolized by the animal of the jaguar. And if you think about a jaguar, it moves in such an intentional way. It moves, close to the earth. And if we're looking at water, we're looking at our reflection in the mirror, and we can see ourselves with divine clarity. We can see ourselves in a new way. And this part of the process is really inviting ourselves to see ourselves in a new light, right? We can sometimes it's so easy to see other people's light, right? But sometimes we don't really truly see the magnitude of our own being, our own light. And so this is really about celebrating that in its fullness, and really giving ourselves that self-love, that nourishment, honoring that which is coming forward for us, and really, attuning to it in a new and different way.
I love that. And you're right. That is one of the biggest blocks, I guess you could say, that we have, that we do not recognize and acknowledge our own light. We see the light in others, but we forget that if we are seeing the light in others, it's because we have that light within ourselves. But we have these patterns and these beliefs from our childhood that said we're not good enough. We can't possibly be that magnificent. We can't possibly shine that brightly up until now.
Up until now, yes. And I love that you bring that up, because that was something that, one of my teachers really helped me to see, was that if we're actually denying our own light, that we're really in the reverse side of ego, right? Like, because we're really doing the world a disservice, because we're not acknowledging, the magic that we are. And so this is so important to really, really honor ourselves, honor our light, honor our intuition, what's coming up for us. And then we can move to the element of air. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead. I thought I heard some noise, but no, it's all good.
Yeah, so we can move to the element of air. And this is all about following our highest excitement, following our curiosity, right? Sometimes we miss this step and we want to go to like, and I see this all the time, with clients, because you're so fast, and it's like, I know what I want to create. Like, let's get the website and let's get all the things. And we don't give ourselves enough time to be in that excitement, to be in that joy, to be in that state of playful curiosity of like, what are the possibilities? And then sometimes we miss it because we're not allowing ourselves to dream, to play, and so this is all about getting really curious. Air wants to move. It wants to, follow its excitement, its curiosity. It wants to connect with others. So this might be like making a list and just brainstorming all the ideas that are coming through, right? Like on a very practical level, like what is it that is lighting you up? What are you curious about? Maybe making a list of people that you want to connect with, for whatever it is that you're calling into creation. Maybe there's people that can help you with your vision, right? So it's all about really attuning to the excitement, the energy, the curiosity. And hummingbirds have such a sweetness of life. It is about like the celebration of the process of the journey. And then we move to fire. We move to the element of fire. And this is all about taking courageous action. It's, symbolized by the eagle. The eagle soars with integrity, with confidence. It's about moving forward in the world in a new way. And, we're not meant to always be externally go in the world, visible, doing it. This is why it's a cycle. This is why we have time to rest, time to dream, time to really follow our joy, our excitement. But when we move forward, we can move forward in a new way. We can move forward with, knowing that we've released, that we've set new intentions, that we've, really gone through this process of really calling in the vision of that we're desiring to create. And so fire allows us to move forward with courage, with following our excitement. And so we can take steps outside of our comfort zone. And we don't have to, take a giant, mile leap outside of our comfort zone. But what if maybe what are the simple things that we can do? Maybe it's, making a phone call or reaching out to somebody that you might not have, reached out to otherwise. Maybe it's, really starting that project that you've been putting on the back burner. Maybe it's making a practice video. If you are, meant to share your message, your voice, recording a podcast episodes, right? There's so many different things that we can do to take courageous action on the visions of our heart. And then finally, we move it back to earth. And I like this process to be completed with earth, because what it is basically grounding it into physical form. It's like, okay, I don't need to do everything that's on this to-do list, but maybe just prioritizing. And I always suggest to people, like, can you take that, long to-do list and put it into like A, B, and C, right? And maybe there's only like 2 or 3 A items, right? Like we often put way too much on our plates, and we're not able to like fully, bring ourselves into that and into that moment. So maybe it's really simplifying and saying, okay, these are the A items for me to move forward. I don't need all the website. I don't need all the email list, just giving that as an example, right? I don't need all the fancy bells and whistles, but I'm going to do these simple things to move my vision forward. And so that can be just a really helpful process to move through anything that's on our hearts to create.
I love that. That is such a wonderful process. And so it'll give you so much clarity, right? And even now, for those of you who are here, I want you to just tap in really quickly. So we function with all of the elements. Okay, we are working with all of the elements, but I just wanted to tap in and say, which is your most prevalent element? So, for me, it's fire and air. I think my least is earth. So fire, air, and water, and then earth. But what is your top? Just first answer that comes to you. What is that for you? because then that is going to tell you where you are in the process, in the cycle as well, right? It'll give you some more clarity about how to function moving forward.
Yes, I love that you bring that up. I noticed Kathy is saying fire as well. And this can be such a game changer, right? To understand where we have the strongest elemental connections for ourselves. And maybe if there's a lack of one element, that we can actually cultivate it more. And I'll give an example of this, just for the feminine through various systems and structures. Let's just say the element of fire has been suppressed, right? And we have goddess wisdom, that shows us, that tells us that fire is an innate part of all of us, right? And the goddess holds like both ferocity and passion simultaneously, right? And so we can really embrace that. So if that, for example, if one of the elements has been suppressed, we can call and we can cultivate that element, and we can get, maybe it's like, courage or being visible or all, dancing, laughing, like all that fire energy is something that's been suppressed for you. Like you can actually, there's lots of things that you can do to really cultivate that connection with the elements, dancing, drumming, lighting a candle, taking, steps outside of your comfort zone. This is for all of the elements, the element of water, maybe that emotional connection has been, not celebrated as much, like allowing ourselves to feel the depth of how we're feeling, allowing us to connect with our dreams, to spend time in water and, taking a salt bath, right? So there's all of these really fun ways that we can even further cultivate that connection with the elements.
Beautiful. And there's no right or wrong. It's like, it is what it is. And we can cultivate more of the elements to work with us to create our vision. Okay, awesome. That was great. I love that process. And that's something that you can do over and over again. So start with wherever you are, start in the south and keep going around the circle and see what comes up for you. See what shows up. See what, I'm getting the phrase rings your bell, which I never say. So that's something from spirit. I never say rings your bell. So something that rings your bell. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. I've never said that. So I was like, that's interesting. That means something for somebody. Joy is asking, what can we do to ground? Because the earth is about the grounding at the end, grounding in all the energies, grounding in the vision, grounding in our ideas, etc., right? And taking action. So what can we do to really bring that vision to fruition through grounding, bring it here on this in this body?
I love that question so much. Our bodies are innately creative. And so if you just look at the cells of our body, they're constantly regenerating and creating. And so we can look at, our physical body, our physical temple, as, such a great guide for us. And so really with the process of grounding, it is about, connecting with the physical body, connecting with ourselves, feeling embodied. And so, anything that connects us with our physical temple, with our body, can be so helpful. So that even that it is laying down on the earth, connecting, drumming actually can help too with that element of grounding. Making a list, can be helpful just to like really practical terms, ground it into physical form. Anything, that is connected to the earth is so helpful for the process of grounding. And, with bringing that, like Alara, what you're saying about actually translating that vision and grounding it into reality, it's so important. If we are physically grounded, if we are feeling connected to the earth, if we are feeling safe, supported, held, and oftentimes that starts within the body. And so I really recommend when people are feeling even a creativity block, there might be something that we can attune to in the physical body that we're not giving the body the nourishment, the love, the support that it needs. And so the body is constantly speaking to us. And so that might be an invitation to say, maybe I need to stretch my body in a new way, or maybe I need to get up and, take a break from the computer, take a walk in nature, be barefoot, like give my body exactly what it needs. Because when we're grounded, when we're connected to our physical bodies, we're able to move and dance and move forward in a new way. So that's one of the things that I really, really recommend from a grounding perspective. And, and that translates also to anything that we're creating as well, because when we're feeling really safe, when we're feeling supported, when we're feeling like we can move our body, we're able to have that type of that feeling of clarity, that feeling of peace and comfort. And, just on a practical level, whether it's making a list or, getting really clear about what needs to happen next, we can find that clarity.
And you can ask that question, what's next? And I would do that as I'm walking in I'm in the country. So as I'm walking, looking at all the fields, looking at the trees, walking with the boys, and so I'm totally grounded. I'm connecting to nature, and I'm saying, okay, what's next? Right? Or I always ask, okay, what's the process I need to do for this call or that call, or whatever? Like, come on, give it to me. Right. And so for me, grounding with the earth is basically just as simple as walking intentionally, and focusing on your feet have roots, into the earth, and you're walking with those roots. That is the easiest way to ground, so try that, play with it, see how it works for you.
Yes, I love that. And also what's coming up for me is the breath. The breath is such a powerful vehicle to connect us with our bodies. So, whether it's breath work or, just some really deep breathing, that can be a helpful tool as well.
Absolutely. So I know we're running a little bit not behind per se, but I wanted to take a minute and talk about activating your fifth dimensional conscious business. I know there are some people here who are, who would like to create that fifth dimensional conscious business, or who, are in the process of doing it. So how can we activate that for all of us?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like myself in coherence with many here are really helping to shift the word business. Even, right? Because I feel like there's not even a great word. Business feels limiting in a way, but it's, pretty much the only word that we have in this present moment. But I really feel like, we can use creativity, anything that we're creating, right? And there is just an evolution as the earth evolves. Businesses and all structures and systems are evolving as well. So this, this evolution from 3D to 5D businesses, we can look at, 3D is really like this feeling of separation, like separation from clients, separation from our goals. Like I need to get there. I'm here, right? And separate from resources. There's also like a feeling of competition. There's a feeling of, maybe needing to overwork or suffer, or, feeling of burning out. And also there's also a feeling that there's maybe a right or a wrong way of doing things, a feeling of scarcity. And that's all shifting as we shift, as we come into more of the light of our sacred hearts. The more that we embrace that, the more that's reflected, right? Because our businesses are essentially a reflection of our energy. That's all it is, right? So when we're shifting our energy, when we're dropping more into our heart, we're trusting our hearts to guide us. We're trusting that we're being fully supported by spirit, by angels, by guides. And I always say, like, you have marketing angels, you can call upon them. We don't need to do all of the work ourselves. We can really ask spirit for help. It is a co-creation. And if we're showing up and we're clear in our intentions, we are going to be supported. And so, 5D conscious businesses is all about recognizing that it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. And I think this is one of the most key parts of distinction, is that, we've been taught that we need to get here and we need to be successful. We need to, do something externally, but really, like, are we enjoying the journey and process? Like, really asking ourselves that on a daily basis. Is this what I'm desiring to create? How is this feeling for me? Is this lighting me up? Is this feeling like my true north? These are such important questions to be asking ourselves, because when we're feeling that alignment, that is the gift. That is the blessing in and of itself. And it doesn't matter what you're creating, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a family or a community. It doesn't matter. If you're enjoying the process, that is the beauty. That is the gift. And so it's also about really tapping into our extra sensory gifts and abilities, our creativity. I mean, we really have so much creativity, and we could solve all of the world's problems through, and we're going to need all of the creativity that we can muster, that we can share, that we can activate, right? Because we're navigating through a big, piece of change and transformation, and that requires and that invites greater creativity. And that's exactly where we're moving. That's where the energy is moving. That's where we're being, supported from an astrological perspective. And it's also, 5D conscious business is about tapping into a feeling of abundance, a feeling of unlimited resources.
And that's the thing that people get hung up on. They get stuck in I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, I don't have the connections, I don't have. But and trying to figure it out from your mind, instead of like, okay, what's the first step I need to take, right? That feels good. That feels in alignment with my dream, with my vision, with what I want to create. And when we're talking about creating here, like, it's anything, a project, a book, a new entity of some sort. It could be anything. It could be, how can I move move from one house to another? What do I need to do, right? That's a big project, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily a business, but the 5D part of it is about your attitude, your state of being as you're creating.
Right? Yes. I love that you gave those examples. I mean, all of those are creative endeavors, right, that we can take on. And it's so true. I mean, like, I believe we can get support and we can get assistance, especially when it comes to business. But there's not like this cookie cutter, one size fits all approach, right? But we can get support. But one of the biggest things that we can shift, especially when it comes to business, is to really appreciate ourselves along the journey, because that's the thing. And I work with a lot of people that kind of have that, overachiever tendency, like, and so that's the piece that's really missing, is that piece of celebrating and understanding that there's patience that's required. Any type of big dream, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's like, wow, imagine where this will be in 5 years, if I stick with this. And, this, it's true. It's like, just imagine if you show up consistently with a clear intention and you appreciate yourself along the way. It's just incredible, the possibilities. And so it's that piece of really celebrating yourself.
And trusting the path that you're on, and trusting that you are being guided by your higher self and your guides, that you're never alone, that you're always supported. That's a big thing too for a lot of people. Like, I remember when I first started on this journey, I really felt like I was totally alone. Like, nobody understood what I was doing. It's like, nobody, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it anyways, because at least, if I don't have the physical support, I have the energetic support, they're here, right? So it's like, all right, I'll work with that for now. And then I got the more physical support as well, so it's like, don't stop. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything limit you and your creations and your expression of your authentic self.
Yes. 1000%. It's so true. Yeah. I mean, because sometimes we can't see our momentum, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. It's like, the analogy of a garden, right? Like, a garden, the roots are growing underground first and we don't see them. And all of a sudden it's like this beautiful, miraculous, tree or flower like sprouts out. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Well, there's a process where that's taking place within inside of all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, you need to take that first step. But, a lot of people stop themselves from taking that first step because they wonder, is this the right step? I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to take the wrong step. And I always say, just take any step, then you'll know.
Yep. Yeah.
You'll know if it's the right step or not, because you're going to get an awareness and knowing some sort of message, whether it's right or wrong. And there's no wrong because you're learning, right? You're also learning from the experience. It's like, oh yeah, because I've done lots of things that it's like, oh, that didn't quite work out. Oh, I don't really like that. So I got that awareness, I got that learning, I got that knowing of what I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's no wrong. It's just,
yeah, there's no wrong. It's more about knowing who you are and what you like and what your gifts are and how you can contribute.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helped, Linda. All right. So I want to take a moment, Emily, and talk about the special offer, if that's okay, because we are at the top of the hour, and then we'll see if we can take some questions if there are any questions in a second. So the special offer for Emily is available at alara.at/show/Emily6. I'm just going to share my screen in a second here. I just put the link in the chat. All right, so the special offer with Emily is a one-on-one session, intuitive blueprint and soul purpose planning session. So let's talk about that. What does that look like, and is it limited to anything? Is it just business, or could it be anything, any creation?
It's really any creation. And so what I absolutely love about these sessions is that they're an opportunity for our higher selves to meet and to really dive in to whatever it is that's on your heart to bring forward. And sometimes we just need that divine mirror. And also, one of my gifts is to really see the magnitude and the beauty of other people's gifts and help them to bring those forward. And that brings me so much joy, right? Because we just have all of these gifts, so much to beauty that we're meant to share with the world in our own unique way. And so these sessions really help to bring clarity around that, whatever it is that you're desiring to create. And also it involves looking at your unique divine blueprint. And, one of the ways to look at this that I love is through the birth chart, through the natal chart, right? Because we can look at some of the innate gifts, what our soul's desiring to explore. And so we use that as one of the tools, but we really have the opportunity to go deep, look at any limiting beliefs that are showing up in our ability to tap into our unlimited potential as creator beings, and to really co-create an actionable plan for moving forward and with grace and ease, and really being able to bring forward your highest vision. So yeah, these sessions are normally $222. So for your audience, it's special, and I'm so excited to connect with anyone who is resonant and desiring to have that connection.
So the package with Emily is also available in 2 and 3 part payment plans, and you can use a 24-hour special gift code from me, TACS10. And if you look at, is Emily's package for you? Yes. If you're a starseed, if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, if you're a healer, if you're a creative, if you're a heart-centered being, this is for you. And there's so much more written here about how this can assist you, how this can help you, support you in moving forward. And right now is also a time where that excuse of fear, not wanting to show up, fear of visibility, that doesn't cut it anymore. Our gifts are required. Our presence is required, right? So we need to get out there. We need to work with our clients. We need to work with our community. We need to work with our planet and assist and support. So there's lots of wonderful testimonials as well. So please do take a look at those. And again, this packet is available at alara.at/show/Emily6. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. 1 second. All right. Creating a beautiful house to be with, open to where and how. Yeah, and that's a beautiful intention, beautiful project. Visualizing that without going into trying to control it, right, Emily? It's not about controlling how it's going to be. It's like what lights you up, and is that house calling you as well?
Yes.
I love
I
that.
love that so much. And it really feels like, just following your excitement and just opening to the possibilities and the beauty that
Yeah.
a home can offer. Yeah.
I know there may have been some other questions in the chat. If there are, can you please send them again? And Jill, you are unmuted. Did you have a question for Emily?
Sorry, I didn't mean to unmute myself. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. And this is also for a soulmate or a relationship as well. It's not just for creating business or a project, right? So it's also for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Destiny, do you have a question regarding what we discussed here today?
Yeah, I'm feeling some like energy that came in. So I'm wondering what is there a belief or something that's going on that has allowed this in? Because it seemed like it came in within the last hour. If there's something around me or a part of me that is somehow allowing this energy in.
Where are you feeling the energy?
I'm feeling it in my head and like under my ribs, in my rib cage.
And does it feel like a contraction?
It feels very tight, like I'm being squeezed.
Mm-hmm. Is there an element of you or that feels like you should be doing something, or that like is there a mental activity that's taking place?
It feels like my mind's kind of running, but it's not necessarily it's not my consciousness, I guess you could say, not my I am presence. It's something, I mean, it could be like a shadow aspect or something, I'm supposing.
So I'm just going to step in here. So Destiny, is there something that you want to create that Emily can assist you with? Because today's call is basically about creating your next steps.
Peace. I want to create peace within my body. Like the, yeah, peace.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'm feeling is just to take a deep breath and just allow yourself, sometimes we can have a lot of mental activity going on, and what I'm feeling and hearing from your higher self is just to allow yourself to drop into your heart, allow, that those thoughts to just dissipate, to wash away, and really just come into the truth of who you are and really feel into the magnitude of your very being. And just breathing into your heart and feeling that love, feeling your heart overflowing with love, overflowing with peace, overflowing with gratitude, connecting with the earth, and just letting any and all resistance, any all tension just wash away. Just taking another deep, deep breath in. Letting it out.
Oh. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, better?
Much better. Whew.
Awesome. Good. Thank you, Destiny. And just also affirm, I am embodying peace, or I am peace.
I am peace. Thank you. Thank you, Emily.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. iPhone ending in 2011. You want to unmute yourself?
Thank you. Emily, I would like to ask what my higher self thinks of moving and finding this house where I'm supposed to be, because I had a clairvoyant tell me I was not supposed to be where I am, but didn't say where I was supposed to be. So it's kind of a big, feels like I should need a dot or something with the United States map on it, you know?
Okay, so I'm feeling your higher self just like getting very excited. I feel like you have just this courageous, spontaneous element to yourself. You know, even if you're not fully in touch with it always, it's like, oh yeah, there's a part of you that knows that you can make the move possible and that it would be exciting for you. Does that resonate?
It does, but I don't know where I'm going. So it's like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm packing, but I don't know where I'm going.
Okay, well, that feels like it's definitely a part of the adventure. It feels like maybe you're meant to do some traveling around. Like, I don't know if you can do like an RV or do some type of trip where you're exploring a little bit and kind of feeling into the energy of different places.
Well, all I was told, I wasn't supposed to be where I am in this house. I live in Maine. Maine, pretty big state.
So I would say, you know, pick 3 top places that you would like to move to and see how they feel. And then, you know, drive around those areas if you can and feel the energy of it. Because there's no supposed to, so there's no like, no one is going to be able to tell you what you should do or where you should go, but it's going to be what lights you up.
No, I not for me. It's for my higher self. Where does my higher self want to be?
Yeah, I love that idea of kind of attuning to see if there's maybe three or 4 places that are emerging as, you know, top on your list, because there might be a couple places, and a lot of people are experiencing moves right now. Like, this is definitely a reorganization for that connection with your gifts and bringing forward more of who you are and why you're here in this now moment. So really, you know, even if you're not able to visit those places, writing them down, maybe drawing a picture and feeling into the energy of those places when you're writing the word, when you're, you know, maybe, you know, journaling or writing about those places, I think it'll become really clear to you where you're being called to go.
Well, I sway test and I do a little muscle testing. I'm just not sure about the muscle testing on how to ask the test the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So calling your higher self first before you do that. And then, you know, allow your higher self to guide you.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully that helps.
Much
But
love
yeah.
to all of us.
Thank you.
Yes, much love.
Linda saying, just wondering, when in nature I've been encouraged by a variety of birds inviting me to open portals. Does anything come to you of how I might further utilize this for the highest good of all? Thanks so much for any insight. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first thing that's coming through is a Lyran connection. I think this is something that, you know, you have a gift with nature, and so really being able to play and explore and feel more into that. So whether it's hugging the trees or whether it's, you know, spending a little bit of time, you know, journaling and feeling into the messages that you're receiving. There's a lot that, you know, this connection with the birds, with nature, that you're able to tap into, and that is absolutely a gift. So I'm, you know, just encouraging you to explore it, to nurture it. It is definitely there. It's palpable. It feels like there is a lot of magic, and so just feeling into what it is that you're receiving.
And I would ask the birds too. It's like, okay, what message do you have for me? You know, like start communicating, start creating that relationship. Right. And like we recently got 2 bird feeders And so I love seeing the birds coming to the bird feeders and eating. And it's like, okay, we need to get more of those, the food for the birds, because it's like they're going to run out. But it's like so much joy. So we love the birds here. And I have a great connection with the birds as well. So I totally get it. Right. So start creating that connection, start creating that relationship, start asking questions. Feel into the birds and the portals, the open portals, and how they can assist you and humanity and the planet. So, you know, this is about going bigger, right? So bigger, how can this support the community? You know, how can this support humanity? How can this support the planet, including yourself? Right?
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And the more that we attune to that and recognize that it is a gift, the more that it will, you know, further unfold and develop. So I love that guidance of asking the birds a question, you know. I've noticed that just in my own personal journey in nature is, you know, realizing that the trees have something important to communicate. And the more that we ask the question, the more that we'll receive.
So be willing to receive, right? So be willing to receive from nature, be willing to receive from the trees, be willing to receive from the birds, right? And as you open up to receiving, you're going to be, what I'm getting also, like downloaded more information, more energies as well, of how to work with the portals, how to work with the Lyrans, etc. So be willing to receive as well. Awesome. Good. Thank you, Linda. Great question. All right. Anything else that you'd like to share, Emily? Is there anything that we missed that we wanted to talk about?
Well, I love that you brought up the element of receiving, and I feel like that's, you know, such a beautiful way to kind of to close, right? It is to really talk about and share, you know, how much that we can receive in this journey of creating and bringing forth more of what is on our hearts to create and to share. It is, you know, that journey where we receive so much because it's what we truly desire, you know, and we see more of ourselves. We see ourselves more clearly. And, you know, this is something that I see a block around sometimes, is that ability to fully receive. And so this is, you know, a technique that we can all tap into, is to recognize all the ways that we're already receiving. And, you know, we're receiving from the wind, you know, the breeze, we're receiving from nature, you know, we may be receiving from the birds or the trees, you know, from a loved one, maybe a furry, you know, companion that we have, you know, we receive in so many ways. And when we attune to it and we, you know, bring forth the element of gratitude, we're able to magnetize more and more that we can receive, that we can attune to. So sometimes this is just making a gratitude list, you know, every morning, or just, you know, a simple prayer of thanks. But, you know, this can be such a powerful way to connect with more of the beauty that's occurring through us, for us, and we're able to share that also with the world.
Absolutely. And it's also about receiving from the earth, receiving from Mother Nature, receiving from Gaia. So if you're being called to move to the ocean, I wouldn't ask why. It's like, okay, does this light me up? Does it excite me? It's like, ooh, do I like the ocean? Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to experience and I'm going to receive. And then I'm going to see, you know, what happens next, right? So, you know, when I moved out here to the country, it was because I had said I wanted more space, right? And it took us 6 months to find something, right? And I kept saying, I want more space. I want more space. I want to get out of the city. And it's been, well, wonderful, but I didn't know what all of the blessings would be until I actually got here, right? So it's being willing to see and receive the blessings from everything and anything without having to know why. Okay, so hopefully that helps, Kathy. If I could move to the ocean, I would definitely move to the ocean. Oh my God, that's on my 5-year plan. So I'm thinking Portugal, but we'll see, you know, and after my husband's better. But I definitely want to move to the ocean, because the ocean is, for me, it's very regenerative, right? It re-energizes me, it regenerates me. It's just like, I just love it. And said, wow, thank you so much, ladies. Felt my entire being light up so much with each and every word in the answer to my question. Awesome.
Amazing.
I'm flying high from it and can't wait to apply it. Good. Awesome. That's what we like to hear. Good. And so, you know, there was so much wisdom in this call, including that wonderful process with the elements. Oh my God, please go back and watch or listen, take notes, and start applying that process of working with the elements. That is going to be a game changer for you, for your life, not just for business, but for your life, right? So play with that, see how it feels, let us know, because I think it's going to change everything for you. Emily, thank you so much. This was wonderful. We learned so much. It was like awesome. I knew it was going to be great. So thank you so much,
Alara, and thank you, everyone. It's been such an honor to be here.
And thank you for all the questions and comments and feedback. I know we didn't get to everyone, but thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, if you'd like to work with Emily, please do check out her package at alara.at/show/Emily6. All right, and please use the gift code TACS10 as well. All right, so thank you, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.